Good afternoon. I'm with PureTech Systems, and today we're going to be talking about some of the advances that we have made in the industry, moving our autonomous mobile platforms into the market, and some of the technologies that's behind that. So we'll start at the beginning with PureTech at its heart is an analytics company. For the past 17, 18 years, we've done nothing but develop advanced analytics, and now we are the holder of very large artificial intelligence and machine learning data banks to which we draw and constantly improve. We started doing the basic analytics and then moved into analytics that actually help other analytics be more accurate, getting rid of some of the nuisance alarms that have occurred. Through that, and over the years, we've become a leader in that industry and now hold several patents on those processes and functionalities. So as we started to move in the early days to autonomous, it was always with fixed systems. The ability to let some decision-making happen right at the camera level or out in the field and start to reduce the human involvement needed, freeing them up for multi-mission type events. But also when bad actors tend to exploit the human errors that happen within the human decision-making process. So now we've gotten to the point where we're taking these, integrating them with sensors, and moving them onto mobile platforms, each of them with their own unique autonomous capabilities. So why autonomous systems? Well, autonomy is what's going to be the next big thing in the security and defense industry. We're already seeing it throughout, removing that human element, adding that intelligence right where it's needed instantaneously, making systems more agile, more accurate, and separating that human involvement. It also allows us to adapt to multi-mission type scenarios and differences in environmental conditions, which used to really disrupt the accuracy of analytics. Now we can overcome those immediately, giving us more data points and more accuracy on what we're trying to detect, classify, and track. So we know this is coming because one of the biggest buyers of security and defense is the US government. And the US government has now said for the next fiscal year that any border system must contain autonomy, and that autonomy must be tested and accepted by the federal government, or it's not getting funded. So once the US has started this, we're going to start seeing that move into the private and commercial sector, but also in governments worldwide. So what makes autonomy possible? Well, first of all, you need a lot of data points. So in addition to the AI and machine learning analytics, which we'll go into in a second, we've also developed, you need precision and dynamic field of view mapping, particularly for cameras. So what we mean by that is, as a camera is zooming in and out, each pixel is going to have to be its own georeference, not just by longitude and latitude, but also by azimuth and elevation. That allows the communication between what the radar sees and the camera sees, or other sensors such as fence sensors, buried sensors, or commercial off-the-shelf cameras to be very accurate, and we get as many points of information on our target as possible. Where we came in the early days, and I'll go back to those analytics, is solving some of those problems. So most commercial off-the-shelf analytics do a great job of what they're meant to do, but there's also a high level of nuisance alarms or false alarms put in by things that naturally occur. Water droplets on lenses, camera shaking, vibration due to sound near airports, vegetation in the wind, even such things as thermal overload on fixed poles, where the pole begins to bend a little bit as the sun hits one side, can throw off the accuracy of analytics. Our analytics now have gone to the point where we solve all of those. So if you do have existing analytics, adding our nodes on top of that just make you more accurate and get rid of those false alarms. So when we deploy these mobile systems, it's important that we build in the customer concept of operation. And we've done that by adding features such as multi-target tracking, and shapeable polygons where we can add rules of what the customer wants to happen if something is detected, if something is classified inside those areas. And when the alarm is created, we can give them the still images, the instant replay, and the live cameras. All the typical stuff you find sits and resides in our systems also. While we can use just any VMS or even a C4I or a battlefield management system, we also do offer our common operating picture, which is kind of a level that sits between your typical VMS, such as Genetec and some of the people here, and battlefield type systems, which then launch ordinances and whatnot. So map overlays have to be very accurate. You have to have that embedded ConOps. You have to have the forensic as well as the live video feeds. Your user interface has to be role-based. And what you need in that user interface is the ability to grab that information, such as track details, elevation, speed, intercept course, and whatnot. So some of the use cases that we've deployed, both here in the GCC and other places in the world, are long-range border surveillance. That's probably the biggest feather in our cap. About 60% of the U.S. southern border is protected by PureTech analytics and our autonomous systems. Critical infrastructure, particularly with nuclear power plants, water, and big oil and gas refineries around the world. And then event security. Part of the advantage of having these systems now mobile is that you can take them to set up temporary perimeters. You can control avenues of smuggling where fixed tower systems may not be able to reach. And the benefit of all that is that it's quick, it can be reused, the sensor load on top can be designed for the specific mission and can be reused. I already said that. The form factors that we have are a vehicle mount. Again, what's happening on the top of the vehicle is up to what the mission is. These can generally be deployed in just a couple of minutes. All the benefits of a big fixed central station or command and control center are right in the vehicle. And those vehicles can act alone, or those vehicles can interact with each other to form long areas of perimeter patrol. Trailer systems have become very, very popular, especially at special events. And all of this is all based on its mission critical role, how it's powered. And then no matter what it is on top, we're going to handle those analytics. We're going to handle that tracking, that classification, and that deployment. So we've done some studies on Jacob Engineering came in and took a look at a whole bunch of our products and our projects. And they have determined that by using our mobile systems with our analytics and our common operating picture, you're about 95% reduction in false alarms. It takes about 80% less time to deploy, and it's about half the cost of putting in fixed systems. So immediately you're going to get flexibility and a return on investment by going with these mobile systems. The road ahead, what do we see? You're going to see continued growth in autonomous surveillance. This is driven by everything from labor shortages, the rise in security threats. The operational ROI is huge. And how these things work is the more data you have, the more accurate it becomes. So now we're moving away from just typical machine learning and AI based into the large language models. And as soon as we get that and those data banks get that big, we're going to be very accurate over wide areas. There's going to be demand, as we said, from government and military. The private sector will quickly adopt afterwards. And then we'll start getting into swarm conditions where this type of technology on a variety of sensors by different manufacturers is all going to be able to talk to each other to give you one unified picture. So finally, a little bit about what this looks like on some of our borders is now we're taking the fixed towers, our mobile solutions, integrating them, allowing them to talk to each other, as well as taking strategic edge cameras and having them all feed in and making them available not only to the individual operators, mobile patrols, and to central command and control events.